In this video we walk through the Lucid COVID-19 simulator, Avicenna. Avicenna is not a neural network. It is an agent-based simulation. In order to train a machine learning model like a neural network, you need to have a lot of reliable data. For many reasons, such as asymptomatic patients who do not get tested, many of the COVID-19 numbers officially reported cannot be reliably used to train a neural network. Instead, Avicenna is a predictive simulation model, not a projection. Using research from MIT, we have been able to measure an accuracy of 92% projecting out to 90 days, whereas most projections are only 50% accurate out to 14 days. The simulation model is capable of representing each individual of a population while also allowing additional variables, such as mobility, vaccination rates, and the probability that a person will go to work while sick. In addition, Avicenna is able to simulate the spread of COVID-19 down to the neighborhood level so that we can get as detailed as possible. This map has several different layers as well as many different location types. As of right now, the dashboard is showing statistics for the entire United States. So let's go ahead and focus on just one state so that there isn't quite so much to look at. The map is interactive, so I can click on a location and be able to filter for that state or whatever location I have clicked on. You can see that everything else in the map has in fact disappeared. So now we can focus on California. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and zoom in on the state. As we go zooming in, we're going to start to see different layers and more specificity appearing. We start to see counties popping up. If you continue down, we're going to start to see neighborhood levels coming in, as well as city statistics. Additionally, just like we did with the state, you can click on these and you can filter by the county, or the city, or the location, which is going to be our neighborhood level. In addition to the spread of the disease at large scale like county, or neighborhood, Avicenna also has the capability to do predictions on a certain specific location. What I mean by that is we have several different types of locations in here. There are universities, post-secondary schools, hospitals, long-term care centers, as well as high schools and certain kinds of food processing plants. If there is a little bit too much to look at, you can always open this up and you can say, I don't want to see the post-secondary schools or the hospitals. The model uses publicly available population information on each of these facilities to simulate the spread of COVID within these specific ecosystems. Now that we've had a little bit of a tour of the map, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the information panels. For this, I'm going to remove the California filters so that we can take a look at the whole United States, in its entirety. You can see just by removing that filter, certain things have changed because now the dashboard is showing statistics for the entire United States again. Clicking any of the interactive chart elements will automatically apply a filter to the entire dashboard as well. This here is the top 20 metro areas. What we're looking at here is the sum of the daily infected for each MSA or metropolitan statistical area. These are not to be confused with cities. This could be something like the Seattle, Tacoma and Bellevue area, as opposed to Seattle, Bellevue or Tacoma separately. They're also referred to as core-based statistical areas or CBSAs. What's more, you can hover over any element to see a little bit better what the actual number is. Similarly, we have another bar graph just below, which is COVID-19 by state, but instead of the sum of the daily infected, this is showing us the sum of the infectious for the period. The period being taken into consideration here is dependent on the time period which is up at the top of the dashboard here. You can very easily change the time period that it shows. You can say you want to see the next 2 weeks, the next month, or something a little bit more specific. Moving down, we display some raw numbers. Each widget title tells you what the number represents. Continuing down, we have cases by country. This specific view is only focused on the United States. However, we have successfully predicted COVID numbers in many other countries, such as India, Russia, Australia, New Zealand, and the entirety of the EU. And finally, we have a visual here of the daily moving sum of infectious for the defined period. This line here is the derivative of the moving average, and it more clearly lets us see the changes and how dramatic they are day over day, which is a little bit difficult to view in the bar graph itself. Now that we have explored this dashboard a bit, let's go and check out our what-if scenario dashboard. This dashboard gives us a little bit more exploratory freedom to modify the variables that Avicenna uses. We could ask the question, what would happen if no one in such and such state got vaccinated, or what would happen if 50% of the population decided to go to work while they were sick? It lets us see worst-case scenarios, best-case scenarios, and everywhere in between. In addition, it'll show us what variables were set when we started the simulation so that we can refer back to them. Again, we can filter on any state to be able to visually compare different runs. So I'm just going to come in here and pick one that has some things to compare. Let's look at Utah. Alright, so it's loaded up just our Utah runs. Here, we can see the daily and cumulative infection charts. You can see between these two runs that there are some very subtle differences. This peak gets up just a little bit higher than this peak. And this dip is just a little bit more dramatic than this dip. Down below it, we can see cumulative vaccinations for each of the runs. When we hover over it, we can see a little bit of data and the date in which these occurred. And over here, we can see the sum of the daily infections. Down below, you can see a few statistics based on the runs that are active here in this dashboard. And furthermore, below it, you can see every run that we have ever done for Utah and what our variables were when we set them. Overall, from the what-if analysis dashboard to the main disease surveillance system dashboard, Avicenna has been well received as a remarkable tool by its users. Thanks so much for watching this video about the lucid COVID-19 simulation model.